Hey guys, welcome. It looks like we have a few people here so far. I think there should be like a chat area. If you guys can hear me, just type something into the chat so that I'll know whether this is actually working. I'm gonna try out the chat feature myself just to see. This is my very first live stream on this channel. I've been doing some other live streams on my other channel when I teach my course, but I haven't done any on MegInWhispers. Let me see if I can find this. I don't know if my chat feature is working. Let me see if I can find this on another page of YouTube. Let's see, maybe if I click on this, it'll open. Okay, here we go. Okay, I'm in the real chat area now. See if it's working. Hi, Alyssa. She said I miss your whisper voice. I'm so happy right now. Awesome. Thank you so much. Oh, thank you, Joseph. He says you have no idea how happy this notification just made me. That's awesome. Thank you so much. So glad to hear that. So, yeah, sorry for the technical difficulties. The box that I'm seeing with the chat is a totally different thing from what you guys are seeing in your chat, so that's awesome, Melissa. Thank you, I'm so glad. I did have a good holiday. If you guys can hear that annoying noise, that's Osage. He's banging on something in the attic. Yeah, the only way to go stop that is to go into the attic and manually get him, so hopefully that stops soon. Osage, come here. Okay, he stopped doing it now. Yeah, happy holidays, everyone. I've actually been really sick this past week, and this is the first day that I'm like finally feeling better. Yeah, I just wanted to let you guys know that I'm still alive, and even if I have to take a break from ASMR for whatever reason, I will always come back to it. Okay, Osage is continuing to be crazy in the attic, so while we are in this live session right now, thanks so much, Alyssa. Yeah, let me just explain first. So the reason why I had to take a step back from ASMR recently is because I really needed to focus on launching my course and launching my business, which is completely different from sorry, Sage is like going insane in the attic. The thing is, if I lock him out of the attic, he'll just bang on the door. So it'll be worse. Can you guys even hear him, or is it just me? It might just be like making too big a deal out of this, but let me know. So anyway, yeah, I've been launching my course, my business, which is fantastic fertility, and I might as well change the screen share on this and switch it to a different window so I can show you guys what I mean. Okay, I think it should be showing up. Let me just see. Okay, I think that should be good. Oh, this is so weird. Oh, now it's like Inception. Okay, wait, hold on a second. This is not good. Okay. You guys, like I said, first live session, and it's a bit rocky, but that's okay. Okay. Let's see if I can show you guys. Alright. Here it is. Finally. I'm just gonna check to see if that is showing up. Okay, I just want to say hi to everyone. Hello, Matthew. Hello, Karen. Hello, Joseph and Alyssa and Jared, and I think it's Schuster. I'm gonna pronounce it like that. Okay. So anyway, the reason why I've had to be gone for a while is because I was completely focused on launching my business and my course. So that is what I've been doing for the past couple months. Great, now Lucy just literally climbing the wall. You guys, let me put this on mute. God, I need to put this on mute for a second, okay? I just have to. I need to go control him. I'll be right back. I promise I'll be right back. Okay, well, he's even deeper in the attic at this point. You guys, I can't deal with this. One moment, I can catch him now. Okay. After a little running around, Ozzy had just been fired again, so he's out of the picture. Okay, let's get back to hanging out. Okay, so someone said, how's Bosco? Yes, Bosco is good. Jesus Christ. Okay, Bosco is great. downstairs right now, sleeping. He was coughing before, oddly. I don't know why. Alright, so let me just cover some basics. One, I know that this live stream is not the most high quality. We've hit some snags in the plan so far. Thank you, OCH, for that. But my question to you guys is, I don't have as much time lately to film and record and produce full videos like I did in the past. And so my question to you is, if I was able to create live streams like, I don't know, once a week or like once every 2 weeks, would that be a viable option for you guys? What do you think? Because the beauty of live stream is that I can very quickly set it up. I can just get it going right away, and there's not really any production that I need to do on my part. And so, rather than taking like an whole entire day to create a video, I can just do one with Livestream much more easily. So, okay, it seems like maybe people would be interested in that. Hi, Robbie. Okay. Awesome, and I'm thinking that I would, like right now, it was a very impromptu stream, but I'm thinking that I would either be prepared with something to read or something to create some type of a sound effect. The camera on my computer is really terrible, and so it would probably just be audio live streams, I think, for the most part. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. And if anyone has any good ideas for content to do during this live stream, I'm happy to hear those ideas. Because again, this is very impromptu, and I'm 100% winging it right now. So yeah. Okay. Yeah, the live streams, basically once I stop the stream, it will automatically begin to upload. So yeah, Karen said, I don't know how it works, but if it stays up after, that would be great. So yeah, all the live streams would be automatically uploaded right after they finish. The only issue with live streams is that I can kind of edit in real time, in the sense that I can just like mute the microphone, but if there is like a sudden loud noise that I'm not prepared for, such as Osage like banging on my door, I'm not able to really edit those out. So yeah. Yeah, how's the sound quality in this, you guys, so far, by the way? Because Matthew is saying you just need to find a method of connecting your computer to the Blue Yeti microphone. Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now, so let me know if it sounds okay. Because I am speaking into the Yeti right now, so it should be okay. If it's too quiet or something, I can like turn up the gain and see if that helps. Okay, great. Thank you, Adriana. Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Great. Okay. Let me see. I'm going to switch the graphic to a fun coffee cup instead of the leaves. Just because it seems like there's a long delay. Interesting. Okay. Maybe the delay is built in to account for, I don't know. Yeah, it seems like you guys are on a delay and responding to what I say like 10 seconds after the fact, which makes sense. I was wondering why you guys are all so slow to type, but I think it's just that everything is on a natural delay. Okay, reading fairy tales, that would be good. For Christmas, no, for my past, I think it was my birthday or something. It was like some holiday long ago. I don't even know why, but someone had given me like a paper bag full of like various essential oils, and so I wanted to make a video about that filming, but yeah, unfortunately I'm just not able to dedicate a whole entire day to filming because it is such a lengthy process. But the live streams are great because, I mean, I'm up until like at least 1 a.m. EST anyway. So, like, I might as well be live streaming, you know, to kind of help people fall asleep and whatnot. So, let me see if I can find anything to read for you guys right now. I can't remember. There was like a database for books that were in the public domain. Right now I'm on Eastern Standard Time, Alyssa, and it's 12:47 a.m. So I'll probably stay on the live stream for like maybe like 30 minutes or so. I'm not sure how long it's been so far, but I'll stay on until like at least like 1:20, I think. So like about 30 minutes. I'm gonna try to look up the website of the someone had linked it to me. It was like a website where everything was in the public domain, then you could read it without copyright violations, which I love. So let me just see if I can look that up. Okay. I'm close to finding it now. I know where the link was. Okay, they said it's Gutenberg.org, I think. So I'm going to look that up. Uh-oh. Okay, this doesn't seem like a real website. Hold on a second. Spell that. Oh, I see. I think it's supposed to be spelled with a E instead of a U. Okay, here we go. So it's called Project Gutenberg. It says, welcome. Project Gutenberg offers over 57,000 free ebooks. You can choose among free EPUB books, free Kindle books. Download them or read them online. You'll find the world's greatest literature here with focus on older works for which copyright has expired. Thousands of volunteers digitized and diligently proofread the ebooks for enjoyment and education. No fee or registration is required. If you find Project Gutenberg useful, please consider a small donation. Okay, so let me see. I'm gonna tap on the top. No, I'm gonna tap on the most frequently downloaded ebooks. And it looks like we have a lot of the classics. There's A Christmas Carol in prose, being a ghost story of Christmas. Sounds spooky. Let's see what else there is. Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. Adventures of Tom Sawyer. Ooh, Grimm's Fairy Tales, great. Let's see what we find here. Okay, let's try the PDF. Oh no, wait, I'm gonna do the HTML. Okay. Let's see here. Let's put this to a vote if anyone is paying attention. I'm also not sure either the chat is not updating, or everyone has fallen asleep. Not sure which. But if anyone is still awake right now, let's do a vote. Should I read let's see. Oh, should I read Hansel and Gretel? Oh god. Or, let's see here. These are probably all really dark, actually. You can do Hansel and Gretel or Rapunzel. Or The Dog and the Sparrow. I'm not sure what that's about. I feel like this is risky because they all probably end scarily. Okay. Karen says she's half asleep already, which is, according to my plan, sounds great. Liz says Hansel and Gretel. Okay, let's do that. We have 2 votes for Hansel and Gretel. That's 1 for me and 1 for Alyssa. Okay, where did it go? Hold on a second. Okay, here we go. Okay. I'm gonna do my best to read through this at an even pace. So here we go. Everyone get comfortable, get tucked in, and we will read Hansel and Gretel. It says, hard by a great forest dwelt a poor woodcutter with his wife and his 2 children. The boy was called Hansel and the girl Gretel. He had little to bite and to break, and once, when great dearth fell on the land, he could no longer procure even daily bread. Now when he thought over this by night in his bed, and tossed about in his anxiety, he groaned and said to his wife, what is to become of us? How are we to feed our poor children, when we no longer have anything even for ourselves? She said, I'll tell you what, husband. Early tomorrow morning, we will take the children out into the forest to where it is the thickest. There we will light a fire for them, and give them 1 more piece of bread, and then we will go to our work and leave them alone. They will not find the way home again, and we shall be rid of them. No, wife, said the man, I will not do that. How can I bear to leave my children alone in the forest? The wild animals would soon come and tear them to pieces. Oh, you fool, said she, then we must all four die of hunger. You may as well plane the blanks for our coffins. And she left him no peace until he consented. Oh God. But I feel very sorry for the poor children all the same, said the man. The two children had also not been able to sleep for hunger and had heard what their stepmother had said to their father. Gretel wept bitter tears and said to Hansel, Now all is over with us. Be quiet, Gretel, said Hansel. Do not distress yourself. I will soon find a way to help us. And when the old folks had fallen asleep, he got up, put on his little coat, opened the door below, and crept outside. The moon shone brightly, and the white pebbles which lay in front of the house glittered like real silver pennies. Hansel stopped and stuffed the little pocket of his coat with as many as he could get in. Then he went back and said to Gretel, Be comforted, dear little sister, and sleep in peace. God will not forsake us. And he laid down again in his bed. When day dawned, but before the sun had actually risen, the woman came and awoke the two children, saying, Get up, you sluggards, we are going into the forest to fetch wood. She gave each a little piece of bread and said, There is something for your dinner, but do not eat it up before then, for you will get nothing else. Gretel took the bread under her apron, and Hansel had the pebbles in his pocket. Then they all set out together on the way to the forest. When they had walked a short time, Hansel stood still and peeped back at the house, and did so again and again. His father said, Hansel, what are you looking at there and staying behind for? Pay attention and do not forget how to use your legs. Ah, father, said Hansel, I am looking at my little white cat, which is sitting up on the roof and wants to say goodbye to me. The wife said, Fool, that is not your little cat. That is the morning sun which is shining on the chimneys. Hansel, however, had not been looking back at the cat, but had been constantly throwing one of the white pebble stones out of his pocket on the road. When they had reached the middle of the forest, the father said, Now, children, pile up some wood, and I will light a fire that you may not be cold. Hansel and Gretel gathered brushwood together as high as a little hill. The brushwood was lighted, and when the flames were burning very high, the woman said, Now, children, lay yourselves down by the fire and rest. We will go into the forest and cut some wood. When we have done, we will come back and fetch you away. Hansel and Gretel sat by the fire, and when noon came, each ate a little piece of bread as they heard the strokes of the wood axe. They believed that their father was near. But it was not the axe, however, but a branch which he had fastened to a withered tree, which the wind was blowing backwards and forwards. And as they had been sitting such a long time, their little eyes closed with fatigue, and they fell fast asleep. When at last they awoke, it was already dark night. Gretel began to cry and said, Hansel comforted her and said, "Wait just a little until the moon has risen, and then we will soon find the way." And when the full moon had risen, Hansel took his little sister by the hand and followed the pebbles which shone like newly coined silver pieces and showed them the way. They walked the whole night long, and by break of day came once more to their father's house. They knocked at the door, and when the woman opened it and saw it was Hansel and Gretel, she said, "You naughty children, why have you slept so long in the forest? We thought you were never coming back at all." The father, however, rejoiced, for it had cut him to the heart to leave them behind alone. Not long afterwards, there was once more great dearth throughout the land, and the children heard their mother saying at night to their father, "Everything is eaten again. We have 1/2 loaf left, and that is the end. The children must go. We will take them farther into the wood, so that they will not find their way out again. There is no other means of saving ourselves." The man's heart was heavy, and he thought, "It would be better for you to share the last mouthful with your children." The woman, however, would listen to nothing that he had to say, but scolded and reproached him. He who says A must say B likewise, and as he had yielded the first time, he also had to do so a second time also. That's an interesting translation. Okay. The children, however, were still awake and had heard the conversation. When the old folks were asleep, Hansel got up again and wanted to go out and pick up pebbles as he had done before, but the woman had locked the door, so Hansel could not get out. Nevertheless, he comforted his little sister and said, "Do not cry, Gretel. Go to sleep quietly. The good God will help us." Early in the morning came the woman and took the children out of their beds. Their piece of bread was given to them, but it was still smaller than the time before. On the way into the forest, Hansel grumbled in his pocket, and often stood still and threw a morsel of the bread on the ground. "Hansel, why do you stop and look round?" said the father. "Go on." "I am looking back at my little pigeon which is sitting on the roof and wants to say goodbye to me," answered Hansel. "Fool," said the woman, "that is not your little pigeon. That is the morning sun that is shining in the chimney." Hansel, however, little by little, threw all the crumbs on the path. The woman led the children still deeper into the forest, where they had never been in their lives. Then a great fire was again made, and the mother said, "Just sit here, you children, and when you are tired, you may sleep a little. We are going into the forest to cut wood, and in the evening when we are done, we will come and fetch you away." When it was noon, Gretel shared her piece of bread with Hansel, who had scattered his by the way. Then they fell asleep and evening passed, but no one came to the poor children. They did not awake until it was dark night, and Hansel comforted his little sister and said, "Just wait, Gretel, until the moon rises, and then we shall see the crumbs of bread which I have strewn about. They will show us our way home again." When the moon came, they set out, but they found no crumbs, for the many thousands of birds which which fly about the woods and fields had picked them all up. Hansel said to Gretel, "We shall soon find the way." But they did not find it. They walked the whole night and the next day too, from morning till evening, but they did not get out of the forest, and they were very hungry, for they had nothing to eat but 2 or 3 berries which grew on the ground. And as they were so weary that their legs would carry them no longer, they lay down beneath a tree and fell asleep. It was now 3 mornings since they had left their father's house. They began to walk again, but they always came deeper into the forest, and if help did not come soon, they must die of hunger and weariness. When it was midday, they saw a beautiful snow-white bird sitting on a bough, which sang so delightfully that they stood still and listened to it. And when its song was over, it spread its wings and flew away before them. And they followed it until they reached a little house, on the roof of which it alighted. And when they approached the little house, they saw it was built of bread and covered with cakes, but that the windows were of clear sugar. "We will set to work on that," said Hansel, "and have a good meal. I will eat a bit of the roof, and you, Gretel, can eat some of the window. It will taste sweet." Hansel reached up above and broke off a little of the roof to try how it tasted, and Gretel leaned against the window and nibbled at the panes. Then a soft voice cried from the parlor, "Nibble, nibble, gnaw. Who is nibbling at my little house?" The children answered, "The wind, the wind, the heaven-born wind," and went on eating without disturbing themselves. Hansel, who liked the taste of the roof, tore down a great piece of it, and Gretel pushed out the whole of one round window pane, sat down, and enjoyed herself with it. Suddenly, the door opened, and a woman as old as the hills, who supported herself on crutches, came creeping out. Hansel and Gretel were so terribly frightened that they let fall what they had in their hands. The old woman, however, nodded her head and said, "Oh, you dear children, who has brought you here? Do come in and stay with me. No harm shall happen to you." She took them both by the hand and led them into her little house. Then good food was set before them, milk and pancakes with sugar, apples, and nuts. Afterwards, 2 pretty little beds were covered with clean white linen, and Hansel and Gretel lay down in them and thought they were in heaven. The old woman had only pretended to be so kind. She was in reality a wicked witch, who lays in wait for children, and had only built the little house of bread in order to entice them there. When a child fell into her power, she killed it, cooked it, and ate it, and that was a feast day with her. Witches have red eyes and cannot see far, but they have keen scent like the beasts, and are aware when human beings draw near. When Hansel and Gretel came into her neighborhood, she laughed with malice, and said mockingly, "I have them, they shall not escape me again." Early in the morning, before the children were awake, she was already up, and when she saw both of them sleeping and looking so pretty, with their plump and rosy cheeks, she muttered to herself, "That will be a dainty mouthful." Then she seized Hansel with her shriveled hand, carried him into a little stable, and locked him in behind a grated door. Scream as he might, it would not help him. And then she went to Gretel, shook her till she awoke and cried, "Get up, lazy thing. Fetch some water and cook something good for your brother. He is in the stable outside, and he is to be made fat. When he is fat, I will eat him." Gretel began to weep bitterly, but it was all in vain, for she was forced to do what the wicked witch commanded. And now the best food was cooked for poor Hansel, but Gretel got nothing but crab shells. Every morning the woman crept into the little stable and cried, "Hansel, stretch out your finger that I may feel if you will soon be fat." Hansel, however, stretched out a little bone to her, and the old woman, who had dim eyes, could not see it, and thought it was Hansel's finger, and was astonished that there was no way of fattening him. When 4 weeks had gone by and Hansel still remained thin, she was seized with impatience and would not wait any longer. "Now then, Gretel," she cried to the girl, "stir yourself and bring some water. Let Hansel be fat or lean, tomorrow I will kill him and cook him." Ah, how the poor little sister did lament when she had to fetch the water, and how her tears did flow down her cheeks. "Dear God, do help us," she cried. "If the wild beasts in the forest had but devoured us, we should at any rate have died together." "Just keep your noise to yourself," said the old woman. "It won't help you at all." Early in the morning, Gretel had to go out and hang up the cauldron with the water and light the fire. "We will bake first," said the old woman. "I have already heated the oven and kneaded the dough." She pushed poor Gretel out to the oven, from which flames of fire were already darting. "Creep in," said the witch, "and see if it is properly heated, so that we can put the bread in." And once Gretel was inside, she intended to shut the oven and let her bake in it, and then she would eat her too. But Gretel saw what she had in mind and said, "I do not know how I am to do it. How do I get in?" "Silly goose," said the old woman, "the door is big enough. Just look, I can get in myself." And she crept up and thrust her head into the oven. Then Gretel gave her a push that drove her far into it and shut the iron door and fastened the bolt. Oh, then she began to howl quite horribly, but Gretel ran away, and the godless witch was miserably burned to death. Yikes. Gretel, however, ran like lightning to Hansel, opened his little stable, and cried, "Hansel, we are saved. The old witch is dead." Then Hansel sprang like a bird from his cage when the door is opened. How they did rejoice and embrace each other and dance about. And as they had no longer any need to fear her, they went into the witch's house, and in every corner there stood chests full of pearls and jewels. "These are far better than pebbles," said Hansel, and thrust into his pockets whatever he could. And Gretel said, "I too will take something home with me," and filled her pinafore full. "But now we must be off," said Hansel. "That way we may get out of the witch's forest." When they had walked for 2 hours, they came to a great stretch of water. "We cannot cross," said Hansel. "I see no footplank and no bridge." "And there is no ferry," answered Gretel. "But a white duck is swimming here. I'll ask her if she will help us over." Then she cried, little duck, dost thou see? Hansel and Gretel are waiting for thee. There's never a plank or bridge in sight. Take us across on thy back so white." The duck came to them, and Hansel seated himself on its back and told his sister to sit by him. "No," replied Gretel, "that will be too heavy for the little duck. She shall take us across one after the other." The good little duck did so, and when they were once safely across and had walked for a short time, the forest seemed to be more and more familiar with them, and at length they saw from afar their father's house. Then they began to run, rushed into the parlor, and threw themselves around their father's neck. The man had not known one happy hour since he had left the children in the forest. The woman, however, was dead. Gretel emptied her pinafore until pearls and precious stones ran about the room, and Hansel threw one handful after another out of his pocket to add to them. Then all anxiety was at an end, and they lived together in perfect happiness. My tale is done, there runs a mouse. Whoever catches it may make himself a big fur cap out of it. The end. Kind of a last line was odd there, but okay. Alright, let's see if people are still awake. Okay. So guys, if anyone is still awake, I hope you enjoyed the dark tale of Hansel and Gretel. I think I'm going to sign off shortly, but I want to just say thank you to everyone who stopped by and everyone who listened. I'll probably do another live stream sometime next week, and we can do more reading, or I could do some UFO storytelling, or true crime. Just let me know in the comments of this video, once it gets uploaded, what you guys want to request for next time, okay? Alright. Sorry, Mary Carmen, I do have to go to sleep. It is about 1:17 a.m. here, and I do have to get to bed myself. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys have a great day or night whenever you are listening to this in the future on the replay. Carlos was requesting another Criterion video. I could do that, Carlos, over a live stream, but it would probably just be audio and no actual video, because like I said before earlier, I'm not sure if you were here, but the video webcam on my laptop is pretty bad, and audio is the only way to go, okay? But I can always do that in the distant future when I do get more time to actually record full videos. Alright, you guys, I will see you next time. Thank you again so much. Hope you enjoyed, and I will talk to you later.